From selling rabbits to selling clothes to a tent enterprise to helping entrepreneurs grow to helping leaders in boardrooms. Ladies and gentlemen, today's guest is going to be telling us about his story, how he started his business as just something he was interested in, not to make money, but how did he convert that to something of value and money. So if you're in a business or if you just want to make a decision as a leader, Lucas Marang'a is joining me today, and this is a story that will inspire you. Hello, and my name is Victor. Welcome to The Peculiar People, where we create content that helps you to optimize your decisions so you can enjoy your careers, your leadership, and your relationships. Lucas, welcome. It's good to have you here. Lucas is a great friend and a wonderful mentor. So we're going to learn about his story. You've been in biashara like all your life.
All my life. Literally all my life.
Biashara is business, by the way. Yeah, and how long have you been employed, if ever?
Thanks, Victor. I was employed soon after I left university in '97 at the then Barclays Bank, now it's Absa. And I was employed for a long time. It felt long. It was just under 80 days.
Wow.
And then I realized banking is not for me. Yeah, so I went back to what I have always grown up knowing, which was business. Yes. Yeah.
Tell us about that. I mean, because for you, it sounds like it's something that came naturally. For some, they have to really think about it and all that. But yeah, tell us about your journey, how you started.
I think business, you've always had the argument about, is it nature or nurture? And for me, I grew up in a business family. Yeah, and since primary school, that's when I began my first business. I was breeding rabbits and selling to my mates in primary school. And I think when I look back, what made me, I was doing it because it was fun to do. I was not driven by I need to make money. Well, yeah, you make money and then you're the top dog in Primo because you're buying lollipops for everybody and feeling all nice. But I think the motivation was just doing something that I enjoyed doing, just enterprise. But I didn't have the money thing in my mind because my parents were taking care of us. So I did that. It morphed as I grew older from primary school into high school. We had a restaurant as a family. And I remember I was at Lenana school and my family on visiting day, how you are brought for all these hot pots of samosas and sausages from the restaurant and chapos. So I would sell like 3/4 of that again to my schoolmates, get cash. It was just this thing I'm just doing and doing well. So I think it came naturally because just being in that environment. Yeah, and a big influence also my mom because she was in business. She went in business when we were small. And then when she was employed, she would still do business where she was working many years ago. So just seeing that and then her nurturing that spirit in us. Then where we lived, it was like a small farm. So we would plant vegetables with my brother and my sister. And then mom would go and sell them to her colleagues at work. And she would come and give us the money. Then we'd look forward to Saturday where we go to town. There's a shop called Sunus. Everybody who knows who's my age mate knows a shop called Sunus in town. Where you'd go and buy some very funky sneakers called Lomans. Yeah, which are probably the equivalent of Nike sneakers today. And I still have vivid memories of going with 300 bob in my pocket to shop for shoes and shirts. There was nothing like saving. Saving was a myth. Spend all the money you've earned, and those were fun times. So I think being introduced to enterprise in a fun, no pressure way, probably just planted that seed deeper and deeper. Yeah. So after high school, went to campus. Again in campus, we had Tumba business in Gikomba. So I'd go and get stuff from there. Go to campus and sell t-shirts and trousers and jeans and stuff to my mates. We used to call them camera, the ones that you chagua that are nice and top quality. I can make some money and then just use that money, go to coast for a plot with your buddies, fuel your car, or at least my dad's car, which I used to use. And so after that, left campus and thought, okay, the right thing to do is to, like I said, everyone else is looking for work, get work. So applied for this job, got it. It was the natural thing to do. And I kind of felt, because my degree was in marketing and business administration, that marketing, get a marketing job. And I actually fancied being in corporate, literally. But it was a mirage looking back. It was just something I thought I would be good at, but clearly not. So after campus, I went on, did my MBA, then left the country. Again, still to try and do some business out there. Didn't work out, came back. The year 2000 began Happening Ventures, which is a tent business, which is 20 years later now. It's probably the business that I've done the longest. But in between there, buying and selling of land, I bought cars, imported cars to sell. It was quite a journey. I remember one time brought in a car in 2006 or thereabout, and then there was a tsunami in Japan. So the guy said, "Your car's been swallowed by the tsunami." I still remember. and I knew your person potea $6,500. So a year later, the guy just randomly tells me, "I've shipped your car," because I'd kind of given up on that story. Go to the embassy to complain, where, and it came and we sold it. So it's been a journey till now. So it's been probably doing what I love doing. So it's a job because you're earning money from it. And of course, as you grow older, you get a family, you get into bigger financial commitments like mortgages and stuff. So now you depend on the business for that. But it's a very good existence because you're making money from what you love doing, and then it sustains you. So that was fun, and that has been fun, yeah. But I'm at a point whereby I realize that journey is has come to an end, that season, and moving on into something else. So I think for me, whatever I do for the rest of my life has to be something that's coming from a point of passion, of helping others, and just something that is part of who I am, yeah. I keep on saying that entrepreneurs are very difficult people to employ because all they know is to make money from what they love doing. And like many others maybe who are employed, like, I hate my job, but the money is good, let me stick it through. We don't know how to stick it through. Yeah. So I think that's how I have come this far. Yeah. And it's been nice. It really has been exciting.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. There's something you mentioned about being in the environment where your parents were both in business, and that sort of just gave you the impetus because you're already watching them, what they're doing. So is that something that for someone who's a parent, encourage them in terms of allowing the kids to watch what they're doing or be part of what they're doing?
I read somewhere that between the age of 5 and 12, that is when your mind is most impressionable, between 5 and 12. I just heard that recently. So the answer to your question would be yes, because just by observing, you see, children, they do what they see you do, not so much what they say, we say that they do. So yeah, the environment has a lot to do. Yeah. For example, I have activated, I call it a gift of Corona, my hobby of photography. And my daughter there, they told me, her upcoming birthday, please buy me a camera. You see? Because we go out to the bush with her to take photos. So I don't tell her, you have to take photos. No, Dad, I want to come. Can I use your equipment and stuff? So I think when you're exposed to certain things and they pique your interest, and it can really go far or not, yeah. But I believe now as a parent also, make these good things that you do available or expose them to your children, but also expose them, avoiding the temptation to please do what I'm doing. Because again, we have enough stories we've heard of people who've done degrees. That was for my father. Now I'll do mine, So you don't want to make the same mistakes of stories like that we've had. So the environment has a lot to do with how we turn out. Yeah, I would say, from experience and from what I'm experiencing now, being in this side now, not a child but as a parent. Yeah.
And your parents were in business, it was a different business from what you got.
Yes. Like several businesses, of course, the Mtumba one was a big one for quite a number of years, and the restaurant business that would run with my sister and my mom mainly. So, and also when doing it and being made to be responsible too early, it's not fun, first of all, because when you're young, you don't be too responsible. Yeah, but now you're forced to be. Sometimes you do it or it's a drag and you go on and do it. But when you look back, it ingrained a work ethic that we are benefiting from now as adults. Yeah, so part of the exposure is not just for doing things that you love doing, but also for the discipline of life skills that you need, irrespective of how you feel, but that they're important to succeed. Yes.
Okay. Wow. So when you were starting business, for you, it was a fun thing to do. Yeah. That was the motivation. So at what point did money become, the factor, or did at any point that become the factor?
Money was a big factor when I was starting Happening Ventures back in 2000. I'd just come back. I mentioned earlier I'd traveled out of the country, again, just to try and find my true north, as I call it. So I got back in 2000. Everyone who was significant, my family and close friends, were like, stay in the States or in the UK where I was, because there's no harm coming back. If you recall, I don't know if you do, 2099 was a really great time for this country. We were like in an economic recession. It was like a version almost of Corona that we have now in terms of struggling businesses and the economy is doing really badly. But all I knew, my heart, my soul, my whole being was aching to come back home, And I think that has kind of set an anchor that my life, I know my life is meant to unfold in this country and more so on this continent. So everything that is deposited in me is meant to benefit this part of the world. And I realize that now, even from how I couldn't shake off the desire to come back. But it didn't make sense. You're going back and you're in the States, 5-year visa. Stay here, and you've just graduated from USIU, which is that then was an American university, because I think they hadn't gotten a charter by then. I'm not sure. So, but I knew I want to come back, and I came back against everybody's advice, literally everybody. A very lonely period, but then again, many moments of significance in life are lonely. You do them alone, and I guess there's a reason for that. So I got back, and I remember making a prayer on that flight and telling God that may I never ask my folks for money, because I've gone back even against their wishes. So here, see, you've come back. You refuse to be in that America where everybody else is praying and fasting to go to. Then you come and say, Dad, give me 500 bob, or give me 1,000 bob. So I was very committed not to ask them for money, to be dependent on myself. So at that point, money was key. Yeah. So got back, then fumbled here and there, tried a few things, and then the light bulb moment came to start a tent business. I had some influence from Mike. Was a big influence. I didn't know him for a long time, but for the short time I did, I really admired just how he was doing. I think his business was called Party Time Enterprises, if I'm not wrong. And so when again, part of the things I was doing when I was in campus, and people want to have a gig, I would go and get tents from him and hire out to them. Again, driven more by the interest than let me make money out of it. So when I got back, about 2 years later, from dealing with Mike, that impression was still in my mind. Like, okay, let me give this thing a go. So I began. Sadly, he wasn't around then to probably get me further, but he had planted the seed, and I'm forever grateful for that. So got back. I still remember the moment of sitting in our office in Gikomba. Even the lights have been cut out because you've not paid for electricity, and I'm there saying I have to do something. So the tent business was dropped in my mind. Okay, that sounds doable. Again, from that influence, like I've told you with Mike, because I was wondering, what business do you do? And then what happened after that? Then I got a piece of paper, I still remember very vividly, and sat down. Okay, tent business, okay, let's go there. So what do we call it? And I didn't want to call it Nairobi Tents, just like a boring whatever. So Happening Ventures. So I called Andrew, who was my best man at my wedding years later, but he was still my mate in campus. I'm like, Happening Ventures, and he said, register it. Like, don't you know how when you go to register, you do three names? Yeah. So when I went to register, I was like, no, you need to register 3, so that I'm like, mimi niko na moja. And no one else was as creative as me then. So Happening Ventures was registered, and so it was this many years later. So at that point, now to do it, so got some little money from some friends who lent me 160K, 3 particular friends. Got someone who can make for me 2 tents and chairs. Started renting this out. I said my first gig was renting out a 50-seater tent and 50 chairs in Westlands. It was 3.5. I still wish I framed that receipt. And I always tell guys who are on their business journey, your first breakthrough, like whether it's a check or something, just keep it. One day you look back and it will be so meaningful. Yeah. So did that, and business grew, got more work. It helped having good friends who at that time left campus. They've gone into corporates. Some of them, one particular lady, I remember a friend of mine from campus was working in an agency in town, and she hooked me up and really helped me grow my business. Because now through that agency, we do work for the KCBs, Safari Rally, things like those, KQ and stuff. So the business grew and it was fun. So it was growing for a number of years. Yes, I got married, now started investing in property, just the usual thing that you do when you're working to put money away and to secure your future. So money did become an issue when I was starting Happening Ventures, because I did want to borrow. And for the longest time, my biggest fear has been poverty. And I think it still is. I don't know why, but I didn't grow up in poverty. I just really fear being needy, depending on people. Yeah. I think it's a good fear to have, especially as a man. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It keeps you awake at night when you need to be awake at night to cover your base.
So that's a good point you raise. But how do you translate that fear into a motivation? Because there are some people who have that fear, they live with that fear as
it paralyzes them.
It paralyzes them.
Yeah. You know that I don't think it's okay. There's a Nike saying of just do it, and they say courage is feeling the fear and doing it anyway. Yeah, I think that's how you convert, really. Feel the fear. We are all fearful at one point or another. In fact, we are fearful a lot over the journey of our lives. But feel the fear and do it. So the thing you're fearing, probably the thing is to ask, the thing I'm fearing, is it worth taking a stab at? Because most fears we have are even unfounded. For example, a rat passes here, we all jump. The rat won't do you any harm, but you fear the rat. So it's almost differentiating, yeah. So for me, I feared being needy, and I still do fear depending on others. And it is not a negative dependence whereby I want to be self-reliant and not needing anyone. But the money part, now I have a family. I want to pride myself in knowing I've taken care of them. And I do agree, taking care is not just money. There are other aspects of taking care, like even being available physically and emotionally and everything else. But I think once you feel the fear, it's probably to question the thing I'm fearing. Is it something worth facing the fear for? Yeah. I don't need to work on facing the fear or facing a rat. That just passes and goes. But now when I look for it, I'm like, okay, I'm fearing I may not be totally sorted in my retirement in 20 or 30 years when I won't be as active as I am now. So I fear being dependent in future. So what should I do now? So it's a fear that now you turn as an activator for you to be able to make decisions that will eliminate that fear. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. So fear, translate it into information and then activation.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Good.
And the ones which are unfounded, just find a way of dropping them off. Yeah.
Okay. You also talked about, was it the UK or the US?
I was in both.
Oh, you're in both?
Yeah, I left here, went to the UK. Actually, I could as well share this. We used to get our mutumbas from the UK. So I got to know each other with the factory guy there. I'm like, why don't I come over? I help you pack things well for the East Africa market, because I know the market here. So now when you send your stuff, it goes quickly. I was hoping in the process, I'll be able to get enough goodwill with him that he gives me at least one 40-foot container on credit to come and start selling, and then I start building my own reserves that way. That didn't work. I was there for, 2-3 months, I think, couple of months, yeah. And again, when I look back, it wasn't so much learning how to do the business there. It was again that true north moment when you're somewhere in a corner of the world you've never been before, away from family and friends, and have to like have a meeting with self and decide, where is my life going? What does this mean? So it was like those wild west. You take your bag and you go into the wilderness to find yourself, as it were. So after that is when I realized it's not working, so I went to the US. My brother was graduating, so that was the reason. But even there, like, okay, let me see how this other part of the world is. Can I like make a life from here? But from the word go, it refused. I postponed my flight like 2 or 3 times, hoping that the light bulb that everyone else has seen will come on for me so I stay. But it didn't, so I just got back. Yeah. And I think the lesson for me there has been okay. So give us, how many do you have? Like, I have a lot, 20 tents, 3,000 chairs. I was just talking like, fake it till you make it kind of thing. Eh? Yeah. So he said, okay, let's start with maybe 2 or 3 tents. Like, oh, thank God, I only have the 2 or 3. Yeah. So pitch them there. Grounds. So seeing the fireworks and what, and just being there, like, Yani, I'm part of this thing. It was a feeling I cannot even define. Yeah, my few times, I'm part of this thing. I'm part of this Safaricom that has turned 1 year. At that time, whereby you can come and say, and put me to task on something. And I'm like, hey, you're not allowed to ask me that. So once you're in the inner circle and you have meddling rights, those people now can speak into your life. And of course, they have earned the stripes. People have your back 3 times over.